So with VR and its entire landscape of games ranging from the true cinematic masterpieces, experimental and strangely addictive works of art, to the bottom of the barrel, you might be better off playing this on your mom's 2009 Dell Optiplex. 3 multiplayer-focused VR shooters have more or less always reigned supreme: Pavlov, Contractors, and Onward. These 3 have been around for a long time and all have unique things that make each one of them an almost must-have for anyone looking into VR gaming. But in the faint whispers, the smallest hushes around each gamer's mouth, we have Vail. Vail is marketed as the VR game to dominate the esports market. Surely Pavlov doesn't have a ranked scene or anything. What do you mean, brother? Vail was focused on being the best tactical shooter you could buy. We already had Pavlov and Contractors, but those 2 are far more focused on bringing in mods or being a social platform than being the next big esports title. But what exactly is Vail? Hey, I'm Viewie. I like long walks on the beach and pretty girls on my feet. So we f***ing or... And again, before we start, if you want to support the channel, get your username in the videos and get the Patreon rolled in my Discord server, it's all linked below.
Hey, boss.
I have to give credit where credit is due. Vail truly does live up to the tactical VR shooter they're trying to beat. It feels far more focused on being a collaborative shooter rather than just, hey guys, maybe we should think about shooting bad guys. The maps all feel insanely polished and even feel thoroughly planned out so you and your team can plan out where to go together. Some of my favorite maps being Este and Volt, despite being the color of my toilet. One of the few things people have focused on is the complete lack of color or vibrance to these maps. The map Kitty, I'm not gonna lie, X-Lab, these names are weird. It got me feeling like a dad at Home Depot. What's that name you got there? How do you pronounce that again? Kitty is especially bad with the whole color thing. I personally don't mind it that much, but you can take one look at these maps and see exactly what is wrong with them. But usually the layout for me is pretty gray all around. There really isn't any crazy spots to hide or areas that you can spawn trap the enemy, so I'll give Vail a pass on this one. But you remember that little part about this being focused on esports? Well, they did end up having the tournament. Just a quick question, X-Labs, really quick. So the tournament took place, which was a 6-week event, had companies like B-Haptics, Live, and even Thrillseeker perform during halftime. That's fine and all, but this was at a time when Vail was still in a closed beta. The prize pool was $35,000. Where the f*** did you get this much money? I really don't understand how the f*** X-Labs managed to pull this off without giving a quick shout out to their good friend Bankruptcy. So just to give another quick nudge to X-Labs, so there were these things called Vailians, which were NFTs you could have follow you around in game. So basically, you could have just called them pets, and you wouldn't have this stained term of NFTs in your game, Logan Paul hatchlings looking ass. But why is Vail dying? Or a better term is, why isn't Vail this massive VR title it was expected to be? All you need to do is take one look at SteamCharts, and it's not exactly too hard to see why it's not doing so hot right now. And don't get me wrong, I actually like Vail. I think it's a pretty unique take from just a military guy mad, and has some cool and unique things that separate it from Pavlov and Contractors. Now, why is Vail not so popular? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if this was some of you watching's first time ever hearing about Vail, and if you have heard about it, it's probably from Thrillseeker or Hack. I only heard about Vail from their TikTok after one of their videos came up on my For You page, and honestly, they have gotten a lot of views on their TikToks, so they're clearly promoting their game, right?
I want mommy, I want milk, I want to be held.
Now look, I'm not exactly happy with the way current VR is, and I can go on about how meta is a borderline monopoly on entry-level VR, and we need more competition. Now, I know X-Lab has mentioned porting the game to mobile headsets,
The game on other systems like mobile VR and console VR.
but I think this is a perfect example of how important it is to release your game on Quest 2. Just to prove a point, Bone Lab. We all know Bone Lab. Whether or not you think it's as good as Boneworks is one thing, but we all know Bone Lab, right? Bone Lab released on Steam and Quest 2 on the same day. So on Steam, the game peaked at about 6,000 players, which is pretty good considering the game is $40, so quick math, that's about $250,000 just from Steam sales alone. And of course, the game sold on Quest 2 as well, and did pull in a solid $1 million on Quest 2, which it's the most popular headset ever, so it's understandable. Wait, what? It sold $1 million in the first hour? The first hour? Not only does this show that, one, PCVR can still be profitable, and I really hope Meta stops pulling their shit with their Quest exclusive games, and at least put them on their PC app, but if you're not releasing on Quest 2, you're basically just throwing your game out of a f***ing window. You might as well just give it away for free. And Bone Lab had way more hype surrounding it, and I can definitely admit I was part of that problem, but Vail doesn't have the cult following that Stress Level 0 has, especially when their multiplayer-driven game is not available to most people. Yeah, I'm not surprised it isn't doing so hot right now. And again, I like Vail. The guns feel amazing, the art style is something that isn't just military guy goes crazy, and unpopular opinion, I like the maps in this game, but being available on Quest 2 day one of its actual release should have been a top priority. Again, I hate that VR is this way right now. It's kind of in the same conversation of our games being held back by consoles, except this time it's an Android phone with a 2-year-old processor. But of course, Vail is coming to the Quest 2 and PSVR 2 when that comes out, so we'll have to see what the performance drop is when we switch to the older hardware. Hopefully we aren't getting the Play-Doh mashed potato graphics that Contractors has.